girl, Ruby. You stay there. Don't come any closer. Come on. Good girl. So this is Ruby. Ruby. Good girl. Good girl. Off. 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 Oh, I was going to give her something, but I'm not going to now. So Ruby is a brand new boarding train that just got here yesterday. And I'm going to do a video every day just to show the progress and just to kind of show how it's done. You could probably try doing it with your dog at home. It's hard to do these things with your own dog sometimes, even as a trainer. Sometimes it can be hard to train your own dogs. I'm gonna give her a bit more leash there. It's hard with one hand. But this is day 1 with Ruby. And the first day or two, it's just a lot of this. We do a lot of walking. There really isn't any expectations put on the dogs. We just try to make them comfortable, let them get used to the new routine, the new environment. It's stressful for them, right? Some more than others. And a lot of times, those are the dogs that come in for training, right? The dogs that are stressed easily and misbehave. So this is kind of our day 1 baseline. You can see she's a puller. She also, according to the owner, is a big time barker. She's been a little bit barky with the other dogs, which I would say is probably pretty standard for the doodles and the poodles too. They can be barky. But Ruby also, they had a dinner party, and apparently she was up on the table eating the food, jumped right up on the table, and apparently she did it twice. So she's not afraid to counter surf. A lot of times dogs will only do that when they know you're not there. And that can be sometimes difficult to correct because you're not there to see it. And if your dog is doing that, you can set up like a 2-way camera or a baby monitor. Okay, Ruby, let's go. And then go outside and correct the dogs that way. Come on. Come on. No, come on. But when they're doing it right in front of you, then, I don't know what she smells. If they're doing it right in front of you, then there's definitely like a lack of respect there. She smells something. What do you smell? What is it? I'll try calling her now while she's distracted. I'm gonna get a piece of food ready. I do have some food in my pouch. I haven't done any training with her yet, but this might be a good time to try and see where she's at. Ruby! 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 Hey! Ruby, can you sit? Can you sit? Ruby! Ruby! Hey, can you sit? Ruby! I'm going to show her the food that I have. Ruby! Ruby! Not interested in me at all. And for a lot of people, this is their reality with their dogs. Unfortunately, not that Ruby doesn't know me very well, but a lot of times the dogs are just really disengaged with the owners and kind of really disengaged from being cooperative. Do you know what I mean? And really like approval seeking from their owners, right? And it just creates kind of a dog who just wants to do their own thing, right? They're not really too worried about, what you think or feel. They're out for number one because you don't bring any value, right? You're not bringing any value to the relationship, right? I'm going to try again with get my food ready first. Ruby. Hey, good. What's this? Good girl. And usually this is what I'll start doing, is just adding value to myself, right? Just through food, which is the easiest way to do it. Ruby, hi, yes, good. See, that's better. That's better, hi. Hi, good girl. Now she knows how to food. She's gonna pay a little bit more attention. And this, hey, you're on the leash, good girl. It can be a problem too when the dogs are only kind of listening when they think you have food, right? But she's already right back to Ruby. Yes, good girl. Good. Good girl, yes. But yeah, so this is what we're gonna do today. Good girl, Ruby. Anytime she checks in with me, I'm gonna verbally reward her, if not reward her with a piece of food. Actually, I'll get one ready if she does it again. Because you gotta be ready, folks. You can't just throw out the good girl without, yes, without capturing that. Yeah. Good. Good girl. Let's see if we can get a few more of those. And this is how it starts, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. The other thing that works really well, and not so much for a dog like this, but if the dog was more nervous of me, not taking food from me, kind of not interested in me at all, I would do lots of changes of direction. So if the dog was pulling, I would just go the opposite way. Hey, good girl. Until they're kind of walking with me like this, I'm actually going to reward her for this too. Good girl. For walking beside me and paying attention to me. Anytime she pays attention to me, actually, I'm going to try and reward her. Good girl. No jumping off. We're obviously not going to reward the jumping. Good. Good girl, Rube. Good girl, come on. Yeah, that's a little bit better. So engage, disengage. We engaged a little bit. Now we're going to drop it and we're going to just walk. We have to engage and disengage from the dogs to build the pattern, right? You can't just constantly engage because that's not realistic, right? But here, we're still here, so hey. And we're just on a long line here. Good girl, Ruby, yes. So now that we've done a little bit of that, yeah, I'm gonna verbal food, yes, good girl. I'm gonna add value to that verbal marker, yes. Yes, good girl. So verbal, then we'll do a food next time. Yes, good girl, yeah. Good girl, Ruby. No jumping. Jumping will come. I'm not going to deal with that today. So we're going to disengage again. smells. Nope. Nope. Good girl. Something gross. Anytime your dog picks up something gross like that on the road, we get that all the time here because there's often, good girl, Ruby. Yes, good girl. There's often dead animals and things. You just pull up on their collar. A lot of times they'll drop it. But if you do carry food with you, if you just put a good piece of food right at their nose, oftentimes they'll, yes, good girl. They'll drop it to take the food. And it's a good way to teach the dog to drop it or to out. Yes, good girl. Verbal food. Good girl. We got a food one. Good girl. Verbal. Got a car coming. I'm gonna rein in. Rein you in. Good thing I reined you in. Right? Give you a leash again. Sometimes just walking on these long lines can be challenging for the dogs. We're back at this smelly part. Challenging for the dogs too. So she's maybe got a quarter of this line right now to start off with. Good girl, yes. It's so warm here still. It's unbelievably warm. I took the corn off across the street. Good girl, yes, good girl. Verbal food, yeah. Yes. And they started taking this corn off yesterday, but they only did the other side of the house. So they'll probably do this. They'll probably wait for it to dry up a bit. Yes, good girl. Good girl, Ruby. It rained pretty good this morning. Yes, good girl. It seems to have held off this afternoon. Pretty cloudy still. Yes, good girl. Yeah. So we're going to continue to do this today. Focusing more and more on engagement. The more engaged she gets, I'll probably, yes, good girl. See if I can work a sit or two in there. We need a really good sit before we can start on the e-collar. Good girl. Which we will be starting on. Probably not tomorrow, probably not the next day, but probably the day after that. Yes, good girl. Yeah. Good girl. Ruby. Good girl. Good girl. Ruby. Yes, good girl. A lot of times if you have a dog who's a jumper, this is a good game to play. You're just practicing an approach and you're practicing a sit instead of a jump, and a lot of times the dogs will just keep that in their muscle memory bank. Yeah. Yes, good girl. All right, we'll see you tomorrow with Ruby tomorrow.